Hello there, and welcome to the Rare Mindset channel. I'm so glad you found your way here. Tonight, you don't need to solve anything. You don't need to figure love out or replay old conversations or predict where any relationship is heading. You can simply rest, while your mind gently listens in the background. Think of this as a quiet documentary for the sleepy parts of you, the parts that still feel curious, even as your body begins to soften into the bed. As you breathe in, imagine your thoughts slowing like ripples settling on a lake. And as you breathe out, imagine your shoulders loosening, your jaw unclenching, and your attention becoming lighter, almost floating. In this long, calm journey, we'll explore love and attraction through psychology, how humans connect, why certain faces feel familiar, why certain voices feel safe, and what happens beneath the surface when affection becomes attachment. Everything here is educational, gentle, and meant to be easy to follow, even if you drift in and out of sleep. And now, we'll begin at the outer edges of attraction, where environment, timing, and simple closeness quietly shape the heart. Chapter 1: Foundations of Attraction. Fact 1: The propinquity effect. There's a softly persistent idea in psychology. We often fall for who is near. Fact 1 is the propinquity effect, the finding that physical proximity is one of the strongest predictors of attraction. Psychological studies suggest that when someone is regularly in our environment, a classmate, a neighbor, a coworker, our mind begins to treat their presence as part of the safe background of life, and safety is deeply appealing. Closely linked to this is the mere exposure effect. The more we encounter a person, the more familiar they feel, and familiarity can quietly reduce uncertainty. In a gentle way, the environment becomes a matchmaker. Hallways, cafes, routines, these are not just places but repeated chances for the nervous system to say, "I know this person," and knowing feels calm. Fact 2: Similarity attraction effect. Fact 2 is the similarity attraction effect. Humans are often drawn to those who share similar values, backgrounds, and life rhythms. It's not only about liking the same music, though that can help. It's deeper. Shared beliefs reduce mental friction. When someone sees the world in a way that resembles your own, your brain spends less energy translating and defending. There's a quiet comfort in cognitive consonance. Your thoughts can rest beside theirs without needing to argue for space. Research on homogamy suggests that people frequently pair within similar educational and cultural lanes, not necessarily out of narrowness, but because shared context makes understanding smoother. Similarity can feel like emotional shorthand, a soft sense that you don't have to explain everything from the beginning. Fact 3: Facial symmetry. Fact 3 explores facial symmetry, a subtle cue that many people across cultures tend to perceive as attractive. Evolutionary psychology proposes that symmetry may be read by the brain as a marker of developmental stability, an indirect hint that a person grew under relatively healthy conditions. This doesn't mean the mind calculates symmetry like a scientist with a ruler. It happens quietly, beneath awareness, like an instinctive impression. Some researchers connect this to broader theories like parasite stress models, suggesting that in environments where illness historically posed threats, cues associated with health became more valued. And yet, it's important to hold this gently. Attraction is not a formula, and real love is rarely symmetrical in any simple way. Still, the brain often begins with quick impressions, before the heart learns the person. Fact 4: The scarcity principle. Fact 4 is the scarcity principle. Perceived unavailability can increase subjective value. In the calm language of psychology, when something feels rare, the mind assigns it more importance, sometimes without evidence that it's truly better. This is tied to psychological reactance. When we sense that our freedom to choose is limited, desire can intensify as a kind of inner rebellion. In romance, this can look like being more intrigued by someone who seems hard to reach, slow to text back, highly sought after, or emotionally distant. The nervous system reads scarcity as significance, and the imagination rushes in to fill the silence. It can feel hypnotic, because uncertainty keeps attention awake. Simply noticing this effect can be grounding, like turning down the volume on that internal chase. Fact 5. Misattribution of arousal. Fact 5 is misattribution of arousal. The idea that when your body is activated, heart beating faster, adrenaline rising, you may label that feeling as romantic attraction, even if it started as something else. Classic psychological studies, often discussed through the Capilano suspension bridge research, suggest that fear and excitement can blur together because the body uses similar physiological signals for both. The mind then searches for a story to explain the sensation. And sometimes the nearest person becomes that story. In a softer interpretation, your body says, something is happening, and your thoughts respond, maybe it's love. This is part of the two-factor theory of emotion. Feelings are shaped by arousal plus interpretation. It's a reminder that attraction can be partly chemistry and partly the narrative we gently place on top. Fact 6. Sexual dimorphism. Fact 6 involves sexual dimorphism, attraction to traits that signal biological sex differences, like certain jawlines, shoulder ratios, or hip-to-waist proportions. Evolutionary perspectives suggest these cues may be associated, sometimes loosely, with hormonal patterns and perceived fertility or strength. The brain, in its ancient pattern-making way, notices these markers quickly, often before conscious thought. Yet attraction is never only biological. Culture, personal history, and individual preference shape what stands out as compelling. Some people are drawn to softness, others to sharpness, some to androgyny, some to something that can't be measured at all. Still, this fact points to a quiet layer beneath awareness. The visual system is not neutral. It filters faces and bodies through inherited tendencies, then hands those impressions to the conscious mind like a gentle, unfinished suggestion. Fact 7. The halo effect. Fact 7 is the halo effect. When we find someone physically attractive, we unconsciously assume they also have other positive qualities: kindness, intelligence, honesty, warmth. This is not because we're foolish. It's because the brain likes efficiency. One positive trait becomes a shortcut, a glow that spreads across the whole person. Social psychology describes this as an implicit personality theory, a set of hidden assumptions about how traits cluster. In real life, the halo effect can make early romance feel almost dreamlike, as if the mind is painting a portrait before it truly knows the subject. The soothing part of this insight is that it encourages patience. Over time, reality replaces glow with detail. And detail, oddly enough, can be where deeper love begins. Fact 8. Social homogamy. Fact 8 is social homogamy. People often choose partners who occupy a similar social or economic niche. This is connected to assortative mating, the tendency for individuals to pair with those who resemble them in status, education, or lifestyle. It can sound unromantic at first, but psychologically, it often reflects shared access to the same spaces and similar expectations about life. When two people share an environment, how weekends are spent, what security means, what future plans feel realistic, there is less constant negotiation. The relationship can breathe. Social homogamy isn't destiny, and many couples bridge differences beautifully, especially with empathy and communication. But as a pattern, it shows how attraction is not just private chemistry. It's also shaped by neighborhoods, institutions, opportunity, and the quiet architecture of daily life. Fact 9. Genetic diversity MHC genes. Fact 9 is one of the most intriguing: genetic diversity and MHC genes. Some research suggests humans may be subconsciously drawn to the scent of individuals whose immune system genes differ from their own, potentially supporting healthier offspring in evolutionary terms. This idea centers on the major histocompatibility complex, a set of genes related to immune functioning. The key word is subconsciously. You don't smell someone and think, "Ah yes, compatible immunity." Instead, the brain receives microscopic chemical signals, chemosensory hints, and translates them into a simple feeling: pleasant, safe, interesting. This doesn't dictate love, and findings can vary across studies, especially with modern factors like hormonal contraception influencing scent preference. Still, it's a quiet reminder that attraction can begin as something wordless, an instinctive yes before language arrives. Fact 10. The contrast effect. Fact 10 is the contrast effect. Our perception of someone's attractiveness can shift depending on who we've just seen or who is standing nearby. The brain is a relative judge, not an absolute one. In social comparison theory, we learn that humans evaluate value through context, like eyes adjusting to light. If you've been exposed to highly edited images or very striking faces, average features can seem less impressive for a moment until the mind recalibrates. In everyday settings, contrast can happen instantly. A person may seem more magnetic in one group and less noticeable in another, simply due to surrounding comparisons. This isn't shallow, it's perceptual psychology, and it offers a gentle lesson for rest. Your mind is always adjusting its lens. Sometimes what you need is not a new person, but a quieter context where you can see clearly again. Chapter 2. Sensory Perception. Fact 11. Pupil dilation. Fact 11 begins with something so small it's almost invisible: pupil dilation. When we look at someone we find appealing, our pupils often widen slightly, guided by the autonomic nervous system. It isn't a decision. It's more like the body quietly opening a window. Studies in social and affective science suggest that dilation can reflect interest, emotional arousal, and attention, signals that happen before words arrive. And because humans are exquisitely tuned to faces, we sometimes sense this change in others too, even if we can't name it. In dim lighting, candle-lit rooms, and nighttime spaces, pupils naturally widen. Perhaps one reason soft light feels romantic. It's as if the environment helps the eyes communicate. I'm here, I'm interested, and I feel something. Fact 12. The red effect. Fact 12 is the red effect, a finding often discussed in color psychology. Wearing the color red is statistically linked to higher ratings of attractiveness and perceived status in certain contexts. Researchers suggest red can act as a subtle prime, an unconscious cue, because across many species, red has been associated with vitality, mating signals, or heightened attention. In humans, it can also be cultural. Red appears in symbols of celebration, romance, and importance. The soothing part is that the brain responds to color the way it responds to music, through mood, not logic. Red doesn't cause love, of course, but it can tilt perception slightly, like warm lighting on a winter evening. It's a gentle reminder that attraction isn't only about the person, it's also about the atmosphere wrapped around them. Fact 13. Voice pitch preferences. Fact 13 explores how voices shape attraction. Research in acoustic psychology suggests that, on average, men often rate higher-pitched voices as more feminine and potentially linked to youth or fertility cues, while women often rate lower-pitched voices as more masculine and associated with dominance or strength cues. These are general trends, not rules, and they vary widely by culture and individual preference. Still, the mechanism is fascinating. The voice carries biological information, hormonal influences, size cues, emotional state, through rhythm, resonance, and pitch. A voice can feel like a safe place to rest, especially at night, because sound reaches us even with closed eyes. Many people fall in love slowly with how someone speaks, not only what they say. The voice becomes a kind of emotional fingerprint. Fact 14. Olfactory memory. Fact 14 is about scent and memory, and it's one of the most quietly powerful forces in bonding. Smell is processed close to the brain's emotional centers, including regions involved in memory and feeling. That's why a familiar scent can bring back an entire moment, like opening a door into the past. Psychological and neuroscientific research often notes that olfaction has a directness other senses don't. It can bypass elaborate thinking and go straight to the body's sense of comfort or alertness. A partner's smell, skin, shampoo, laundry detergent, the faint trace of a shared home can become a signal of safety. Over time, it's not just a smell. It's an association. When this scent is near, I can exhale, and that association can be deeply calming. Fact 15. The power of touch haptics. Fact 15 is the power of touch, sometimes called haptics. Studies in social psychology suggest that subtle, appropriate touch, like a light graze on the arm or a gentle hand on the shoulder, can increase warmth, compliance, and feelings of connection. Touch is an early language. It develops before speech. And when it's consensual and safe, it tells the nervous system something words struggle to convey. You are not alone. Touch can lower perceived threat and increase trust, partly through learned associations and partly through neurochemical responses. It's also why absence of touch can feel surprisingly loud. In romance, touch doesn't have to be intense to matter. Sometimes it's the briefest contact, an accidental brush, a shared jacket sleeve, that makes the mind pause and think softly, that felt good, that felt close. Fact 16. Eye contact duration. Fact 16 focuses on eye contact, especially when it lasts a few seconds longer than usual. Prolonged mutual gaze can feel like time slowing down. Research suggests that steady eye contact increases physiological arousal and can deepen perceived intimacy, partly because it signals attention and shared intentionality. In some studies, extended gaze has been associated with stronger feelings of connection, even between strangers, because the brain reads it as a form of emotional presence. There's also a quiet vulnerability in being seen. When two people hold eye contact, they temporarily give up the ability to hide in distraction. The effect isn't always comfortable, but it is powerful. In healthy moments of attraction, sustained eye contact can feel like a gentle agreement. I'm here with you, and I'm not rushing away. It becomes a non-verbal kind of promise. Fact 17. Mirroring behavior. Fact 17 is mirroring, also known as the chameleon effect. We often copy each other unconsciously. Posture, gestures, speech rhythm, even tiny expressions. Social psychology suggests mirroring increases rapport because it signals similarity, and similarity feels safe. The nervous system relaxes around people who move like us because they seem predictable, less likely to harm, more likely to understand. Some researchers connect this to mirror neuron systems and broader mechanisms of social learning. What's lovely is how tender it can be. Two people leaning in at the same time, laughing with the same tempo, sipping their drink in sync. Mirroring doesn't have to be intentional to be meaningful. It's often the body's way of saying, quietly, I'm with you, I can meet you where you are. And that meeting can feel like the earliest form of intimacy. Fact 18. Gustatory interaction. Fact 18 is about taste and togetherness, gustatory interaction. Sharing food or discovering similar flavor preferences can increase a sense of psychological oneness. Across cultures, eating together, commensality, is one of the oldest bonding rituals humans have. It's not only social, it's biological. Eating is a vulnerable act, and when we eat in the presence of someone else, the body reads it as a sign of safety. Research on social bonding suggests shared meals can strengthen closeness by creating routine, mutual attention, and small acts of care. Even tasting the same thing, 2 spoons from the same dessert, 2 sips of the same tea, can feel symbolic, like sharing an experience in the most literal way. The mind notes, we like the same sweetness, we share the same moment, and that shared moment lingers. Fact 19. Gait and movement. Fact 19 explores how we read attraction through movement. The way someone walks, their gait, rhythm, posture, conveys information about health, confidence, energy, and openness. Research in biological motion perception shows that humans can infer surprising amounts from motion alone, even when details are blurred. A relaxed stride can signal ease. A tense, narrow posture can signal caution or stress. Movement is also emotionally contagious. When someone moves with calm confidence, your nervous system may begin to match that tempo, as if syncing to a quieter beat. In attraction, we often describe someone as having a presence, and presence is frequently movement. How they enter a room, how they turn toward you, how they pause. It's a kind of unspoken conversation. And sometimes, before any words the body recognizes, this person feels steady. Fact 20. Pheromonal signaling. Fact 20 touches a fascinating and still debated area: pheromonal signaling in humans. Many animals use pheromones, chemical messages, to influence mating behavior. In humans, the evidence is more complex, and researchers debate how pheromone-like chemosignals may function, especially since structures like the vomeronasal organ may be vestigial. Still, studies suggest that body odor can influence mood, stress responses, and perceptions of compatibility in subtle ways. Rather than a single pheromone, it may be a blend of chemical cues, diet, hormones, immune markers that the brain processes quietly. It's less like a magical spell and more like a background influence, a soft coloring of emotion. Attraction can begin as a feeling you can't explain. I just like being near them. And sometimes, part of that just is chemistry in the air. Chapter 3. The neurochemistry of love. Fact 21. Dopamine and reward. Fact 21 is dopamine and the reward system, one of the brain's most persuasive storytellers. In early-stage love, research suggests activity increases in reward-related regions like the ventral tegmental area and nucleus accumbens. This is part of why a new crush can feel bright, energizing, and slightly unreal. Dopamine doesn't simply create pleasure, it creates wanting. It focuses attention, amplifies motivation, and makes the beloved feel like a goal the mind keeps returning to. That's also why new love can resemble addictive patterns, not as a moral failing but as a neural similarity. Both involve craving, anticipation, and reinforcement. In a gentle way, dopamine narrows the world into one glowing point. And at night, when the world is quiet, that point can shine even louder, unless we soothe it with understanding. Fact 22. Oxytocin, the cuddle hormone. Fact 22 is oxytocin, often nicknamed the cuddle hormone. Oxytocin is a neuropeptide involved in bonding, trust, and feelings of safety, released during affectionate touch, hugging, cuddling, and sexual intimacy, and also during tender social moments like sustained warmth and caregiving. It doesn't force love, but it supports the conditions where love can settle and stay. Many researchers describe oxytocin as helping the brain tag someone as safe to approach. Over time, it can strengthen associative memory. This person becomes linked to comfort, softness, and relief. Importantly, oxytocin works within context. If a relationship is safe, it can deepen closeness. If a context is threatening, it may heighten sensitivity. But in healthy bonds, oxytocin is like emotional glue, quiet, invisible, and deeply human. Fact 23. Vasopressin and monogamy. Fact 23 is vasopressin, a hormone often discussed in connection with long-term pair bonding and protective behaviors. Animal research, especially on certain monogamous vole species, helped build early theories about vasopressin receptors and attachment-like bonding. In humans, the story is more nuanced, but studies suggest vasopressin may play a role in commitment, social memory, and the feeling of "this is my person." It's less about romance's fireworks and more about loyalty's steady flame. Vasopressin can be linked to territorial or protective instincts, wanting to keep a relationship safe from harm. In the gentle arc of love, dopamine may light the initial spark, while vasopressin supports the slow-building structure, something like a home inside the mind, where the bond feels stable enough to rest. Fact 24. Serotonin depletion. Fact 24 is a surprising one. Early romantic infatuation can be associated with lower serotonin activity, which may relate to obsessive, intrusive thinking. Some research has compared the mental state of intense new love to patterns seen in obsessive-compulsive tendencies, not as a diagnosis, but as a resemblance in the way attention loops. When serotonin regulation is altered, the mind may struggle to release a thought once it grabs hold. That's why in early love, people can replay messages, reread conversations, and feel magnetized by uncertainty. The brain becomes a storyteller that cannot stop writing chapters. Knowing this can be soothing. If you've ever felt too fixated, It doesn't mean you're broken. It may simply mean your biology is amplifying focus. And with time, as security grows, the mind often loosens its grip. Fact 25. Adrenaline and the jitters. Fact 25 is adrenaline, the body's quick spark. When attraction first appears, the autonomic nervous system may activate, triggering a fight-or-flight style response. Racing heart, warm skin, shaky hands, dry mouth. This is not only fear, it's arousal, readiness. Adrenaline prepares the body for action, and in romance that action might be as simple as speaking, approaching, taking the social risk of being known. The jitters are the body's way of saying this matters. And because the body uses similar pathways for anxiety and excitement, the feeling can be confusing. The same flutter can mean danger or possibility. In safe contexts, the mind may reframe adrenaline as chemistry, as anticipation, as the sweet trembling of the unknown. It's the nervous system leaning forward into connection. Fact 26. Nerve growth factor (NGF). Fact 26 involves nerve growth factor, or NGF, a protein associated with the growth and maintenance of certain neurons. Some studies have found NGF levels rise in people newly in love, suggesting early romance may coincide with heightened neurobiological change. It's as if the brain becomes slightly more fertile for learning. New love often brings new habits, new routines, new emotional maps. You learn a person's face in different lights, their moods, their patterns, their humor. And the brain adapts. While we should be cautious about overstating any single biomarker, the idea fits what many people feel. Early love can rewire attention. It can make the world feel sharper, more meaningful, more awake. In a quiet way, the brain may be building new pathways, making room for a new significant other inside its internal landscape. Fact 27. Cortisol in early love. Fact 27 is cortisol, the stress hormone that often rises during uncertainty. Early love is not only sweetness, it's also ambiguity. Do they like me? What does this mean? Will it last? Research suggests cortisol levels can increase during the initial stages of romantic involvement, reflecting the body's alertness in a situation with high emotional stakes. Cortisol isn't bad. It's a mobilizer, helping you pay attention and respond. But too much uncertainty can keep the nervous system activated. This is why clarity often feels calming and why mixed signals can feel exhausting. Over time, if a bond becomes secure, cortisol tends to settle. The relationship stops feeling like a test and starts feeling like a place to rest. And that shift, from vigilance to ease, is one of the most healing transitions love can offer. Fact 28. Endorphins and stability. Fact 28 is about endorphins and the calm that arrives as love matures. In early romance, dopamine tends to dominate, novelty, craving, sparkle. But as a relationship stabilizes, the brain often shifts toward endorphins, the body's natural opioids associated with comfort, soothing, and steady well-being. This can feel like the difference between a fireworks show and a warm fireplace. Some people misinterpret this shift as losing passion, but psychologically it may signal deeper attachment and safety. Endorphins help make closeness feel restful rather than urgent. They support the quiet pleasure of routine, shared evenings, familiar laughter, the simple relief of being understood. In healthy long-term bonds, love often becomes less dramatic and more regulating. It doesn't pull you into chaos, it gently returns you to center. Fact 29. Testosterone fluctuations. Fact 29 explores how hormones can shift when people fall in love. Some research suggests that in the early stages, men's testosterone may decrease while women's may increase, potentially narrowing typical behavioral differences and creating a kind of emotional convergence. These findings are complex and not universal, but they hint at an interesting principle. Attraction doesn't only select, it also adjusts. The body adapts to connection. Hormones influence energy, assertiveness, tenderness, risk-taking, and mood, so a shift may subtly change how people relate. Rather than seeing this as rigid biology, it can be viewed as flexibility, the endocrine system responding to a new social bond. Love may soften certain edges and sharpen others, and in the background the body tries, quietly, constantly, to find a balance where closeness can survive. Fact 30. Phenylethylamine P. Fact 30 is phenylethylamine, or P, sometimes described as a natural stimulant involved in the giddy feeling of a crush. P is linked to alertness, excitement, and that sparkling sense that everything connected to one person feels brighter. It can contribute to the high of early attraction, quickened thoughts, playful energy, a lightness in the chest. P is part of why new love can make ordinary life feel cinematic. Music sounds better, colors seem richer, time feels oddly shaped. But like many early love chemicals, P tends to be more prominent in the beginning and less dominant as the relationship settles. This isn't loss, it's transition. The mind moves from intoxication to intimacy, and beneath that transition is something gentle, a shift from thrill to trust, from stimulation to steadiness. Chapter 4. Social cognitive biases. Fact 31. The reciprocity of liking. Fact 31 is the reciprocity of liking. We tend to be more attracted to people when we believe they like us too. This makes sense psychologically, because mutual liking reduces risk. It soothes the fear of rejection and signals that closeness is possible. Studies in social psychology suggest that perceived acceptance acts like a green light in the brain, increasing warmth and openness. It can even become a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you think someone likes you, you behave more confidently and warmly, and that behavior can increase their liking in return. It's a gentle feedback loop. The soothing lesson here is simple. Attraction is not only about chasing the impressive, it's also about feeling chosen. Often, the deepest spark begins when your nervous system realizes, quietly, I'm safe here, I'm wanted here. Fact 32. The pratfall effect. Fact 32 is the pratfall effect. Competent people often become more likable when they make a small, harmless mistake. A spilled drink, a mispronounced word, a moment of awkward laughter. These can soften the image of perfection into something real. Social perception research suggests that flaws can humanize, making someone seem approachable rather than intimidating. In romance, this matters because idealized distance can prevent closeness. When someone appears too flawless, your nervous system may assume you don't belong near them. But when they reveal a small imperfection, it signals, I'm human, you can relax. This doesn't mean chaos is attractive or that harmful behavior should be excused. It's about gentle errors that show authenticity. Sometimes attraction grows not when someone impresses you, but when they allow you to see their ordinary, endearing humanity. Fact 33. The Zeigarnik effect in romance. Fact 33 is the Zeigarnik effect, the tendency to remember unfinished tasks more vividly than completed ones. In romance, this can make unfinished relationships, situations without closure, the one who disappeared, the almost love, feel unusually powerful in memory. The brain dislikes open loops. It replays them not necessarily because they were perfect, but because they are incomplete. Cognitive psychology suggests that the mind keeps returning, hopping to resolve uncertainty and restore coherence. This is why some people feel haunted by relationships that never fully began, more than by those that ended clearly. The soothing side of this fact is permission. If your mind replays an old story at night, it may not mean that person was your destiny. It may simply mean your brain is seeking closure, and closure can be created gently, even internally. Fact 34. Cognitive dissonance in love. Fact 34 is cognitive dissonance, the discomfort we feel when our actions and beliefs don't align. In relationships, this can lead people to justify staying in something difficult because leaving would challenge their self-image or past choices. The mind whispers, if I invested so much, it must be worth it, even when the present feels heavy. Social psychology shows that humans often reduce dissonance by rewriting the story, minimizing harm, maximizing hope, or blaming oneself. This isn't weakness, it's the brain protecting identity from fracture. And yet, understanding dissonance can be a quiet lantern in the dark. It helps you separate love from rationalization. Healthy love doesn't require constant self-justification. It tends to feel coherent. The more your story and your feelings agree, the more peacefully your nervous system can rest. Fact 35. Idealization, the pink lens. Fact 35 is idealization, the pink lens of early love. In the beginning, the mind often overemphasizes a partner's virtues and overlooks their flaws, partly due to selective attention and positive illusions. It's like the brain is creating a highlight reel, focusing on what confirms hope. This can serve a purpose. Idealization helps bonds form by reducing doubt long enough for closeness to develop, but it also means early certainty can be misleading. A person may feel perfect not because they are, but because your mind is filtering reality through desire. The soothing invitation here is slowness. Let time reveal texture. Real intimacy forms when you can see a person clearly and still choose them, not because they are flawless, but because the connection is safe and mutual. The pink lens can start the story, but clarity sustains it. Fact 36. Self-expansion theory. Fact 36 is self-expansion theory. The idea that love is partly driven by a desire to grow the self through connection. When you fall for someone, you may feel your identity stretching. New interests, new perspectives, new skills, even new ways of speaking. Researchers describe this as incorporating aspects of the other into the self, sometimes measured through the inclusion of other in the self concept. In a gentle way, attraction can be the mind sensing possibility. Through this person, my world becomes larger. This is why couples often enjoy learning together, traveling together, or sharing passions. It's not only romance, it's expansion. And there's a sleepy comfort in knowing that love doesn't always arrive as thunder. Sometimes it arrives as curiosity, a quiet pull toward a person who makes life feel a little wider, a little more interesting, and strangely more you. Fact 37. The framing effect. Fact 37 is the framing effect. The way a behavior is described shapes how we feel about it. The same action can land differently depending on the story around it. They're late because they're careless, feels harsh. They're late because they lost track of time and feel embarrassed, feels softer. Cognitive psychology suggests that framing influences emotion by guiding interpretation. In relationships, this matters because couples live inside narratives, micro-stories told every day. Healthy relationships often involve gentle reframing, not as denial but as curiosity. What else could this mean? This doesn't excuse harmful patterns. It simply protects love from needless escalation when the truth is ambiguous. A softened frame can reduce threat and invite repair. Over time, the frames you choose become the emotional climate of the relationship, and a calmer climate helps the heart sleep. Fact 38. Fundamental attribution error. Fact 38 is the fundamental attribution error. We tend to attribute other people's mistakes to their character, while attributing our own mistakes to circumstances. In romance, this can quietly create unfairness. If your partner forgets something, the mind may say they don't care. If you forget, the mind says, I'm stressed. Social cognition research suggests this bias is automatic, a shortcut the brain uses to make sense of behavior, but awareness can soften it. When you notice yourself making a harsh character judgment, you can pause and ask, what situation might be shaping this? This doesn't mean ignoring patterns. It means reducing unnecessary blame. Relationships thrive when partners feel interpreted generously, especially during small failures. A generous interpretation is not naive. It's often accurate, and it keeps the nervous system from turning daily life into a courtroom. Fact 39. Implicit egoism. Fact 39 is implicit egoism. We are often subconsciously drawn to things that resemble ourselves: names, initials, birthdays, hometowns, familiar traits. Some studies suggest people may show slight preferences for partners with similarities that echo their identity. It's not vanity in the obvious sense. It's associative comfort. The brain likes what feels like home, and home often includes the self. Familiarity reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is effortful. Implicit egoism may also relate to self-esteem. When we feel positively about ourselves, we may feel positively about what resembles us. In romance, this can show up as a strange sense of recognition, like meeting someone and thinking, you feel familiar, even if you've never met. Sometimes attraction is the mind finding echoes, small reflections that whisper, this might fit. Fact 40. The Romeo and Juliet effect. Fact 40 is the Romeo and Juliet effect. When parents or society oppose a relationship, romantic passion can intensify. Social psychology connects this to reactance, the desire to reclaim threatened autonomy. When something is forbidden, the mind assigns it extra meaning, turning ordinary affection into a dramatic mission. Obstacles can create a story of destiny, not because the bond is necessarily healthier, but because the pressure amplifies emotion. The relationship becomes a symbol of freedom. This can feel thrilling, even intoxicating. Yet it can also mask incompatibility because intensity is not the same as stability. The gentle lesson is to separate the lover from the fight. Ask quietly, do I want them? Or do I want the feeling of defying control? True love can survive in daylight, not only in secret. Chapter 5. Personality and Compatibility. Fact 41. The Big Five, Agreeableness. Fact 41 rests on a quiet but powerful predictor of relationship satisfaction: agreeableness. In the Big Five model of personality, agreeableness includes kindness, cooperation, empathy, and a tendency toward goodwill. Research in personality psychology suggests that partners high in agreeableness tend to create less friction in everyday life, not because they avoid truth, but because they prioritize repair over winning. They're more likely to interpret mistakes generously, to compromise, and to soothe rather than escalate. Over time, this becomes emotional safety, which is one of the most attractive experiences a nervous system can have. Agreeableness doesn't mean being a doormat, and it doesn't mean never having conflict. It means conflict doesn't become a character attack. In long relationships, small daily kindnesses often matter more than grand gestures. Agreeableness is the personality trait that keeps those small kindnesses flowing. Fact 42. Neuroticism and Stability. Fact 42 is neuroticism, and it's linked to relationship tension. In the Big Five, neuroticism reflects sensitivity to stress, negative emotion, and emotional reactivity. Studies suggest that higher neuroticism, especially when present in one or both partners, correlates with more frequent conflict and lower satisfaction, often because threats feel louder and reassurance feels less lasting. A neutral comment can be heard as criticism. A delayed reply can be felt as rejection. This doesn't mean high neuroticism individuals can't have beautiful love. It means the relationship may need more intentional regulation, clear communication, soothing routines, and compassion for the nervous system's alarms. It's also helpful to remember that neuroticism often overlaps with vigilance. The mind tries to prevent pain by scanning for it. With a steady partner and skillful coping, that vigilance can soften. The goal isn't perfection, it's stability. Fact 43. Complementarity vs. Similarity. Fact 43 addresses a common myth: opposites attract. Psychology suggests that similarity in values tends to predict long-term harmony more strongly than opposite traits do. Still, complementarity can be useful when it's about skills, not core beliefs. One partner may be better at planning, the other at spontaneity. One may handle finances, the other handles social connection. This can create functional synergy, like two hands doing different tasks for the same body. But when differences touch moral values, goals, or lifestyle needs, complementarity can turn into chronic negotiation. The soothing takeaway is to separate interesting difference from foundational mismatch. Attraction may enjoy novelty, but long-term peace often prefers alignment. A relationship becomes restful when you don't have to argue about the meaning of life every week. Similar values are like shared ground under your feet. Fact 44. Emotional intelligence, EQ. Fact 44 is emotional intelligence, EQ, the ability to perceive, understand, and manage emotions in yourself and others. Relationship research consistently suggests that EQ supports healthier conflict resolution because partners can name feelings without weaponizing them. Instead of "you always ruin everything," an emotionally intelligent response might sound like, "I felt hurt when that happened, and I need reassurance." EQ is not about being calm all the time. It's about being skillful with the truth. It involves empathy, timing, and the capacity to self-soothe rather than outsource all regulation to a partner. When two people have higher EQ, they tend to recover faster after disagreement because repair becomes a shared language. In the long arc of love, the most attractive thing isn't flawless compatibility. It's the ability to return to safety after disruption. Emotional intelligence is the bridge back. Fact 45. Introversion-extroversion balance. Fact 45 explores how introversion and extroversion can balance a couple's emotional ecosystem. Research on personality suggests these pairings can thrive when they respect different arousal needs. Extroverts often gain energy from social stimulation. Introverts often recharge through quiet and reduced input. In a healthy relationship, this becomes complementary, not competitive. One partner brings the couple outward into community. The other brings the couple inward into restoration. Problems arise when differences are interpreted as rejection, when quiet is mistaken for disinterest, or sociability is mistaken for avoidance. The soothing lesson is to treat arousal needs like sleep needs, personal, real, and worthy of respect. When couples negotiate a rhythm, events and solitude, friends and home, both nervous systems settle. Love becomes less about matching personalities and more about honoring each other's social battery with gentleness. Fact 46. Conscientiousness and trust. Fact 46 is conscientiousness, a trait linked to reliability, follow-through, and self-discipline. In relationship studies, higher conscientiousness often predicts stronger trust because consistent behavior is calming. When someone does what they say, arrives on time, keeps promises, handles responsibilities, your nervous system stops scanning for danger. Trust isn't only emotional, it's logistical. It forms through repeated evidence that life with this person is stable. Conscientious partners also tend to be better at long-term planning and shared goals, which supports commitment. Of course, too much conscientiousness without flexibility can feel rigid. But in general, the presence of dependable patterns creates a home-like feeling. It becomes easier to relax into love when you don't have to chase clarity. Conscientiousness quietly communicates, "You can lean on me, the ground will still be there." Fact 47. The dark triad attraction. Fact 47 examines a tricky pattern. Some people feel initial attraction to traits associated with the dark triad, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, because they can resemble confidence, charisma, or social power at first glance. Social psychology suggests we sometimes confuse dominance with competence or boldness with security. In early interactions, charm can mask a lack of empathy. This fact isn't meant to create fear, it's meant to restore clarity. Healthy confidence includes respect, boundaries, and accountability. Dark triad-like behavior often includes manipulation, entitlement, or emotional coldness. The soothing approach is slow observation. Attraction can be fast, but trust should be earned. Notice how someone treats people who can't offer them anything. Notice how they handle no. Real love doesn't require you to shrink. The most hypnotic charm in the world is not a substitute for kindness. Fact 48. Openness to experience. Fact 48 is openness to experience, curiosity, imagination, and willingness to try new things. Research suggests couples with shared openness often report more long-term excitement, partly because novelty keeps the brain engaged. Openness can create a relationship culture of exploration. New foods, new ideas, new places, new questions. This matters because the brain adapts, it habituates. When partners regularly create new experiences together, they refresh the emotional landscape and strengthen shared identity. Openness is not only about travel or adventure. It can be intellectual reading together, discussing philosophy, learning a skill side by side. It's the feeling that love is not a closed room, but a hallway of doors. For sleep listeners, this fact can land softly. The mind craves gentle novelty, even instability. A lasting relationship often includes both, a safe base and a curious spirit. Fact 49. Self-monitoring. Fact 49 is self-monitoring. How much a person adjusts their behavior to fit social situations. High self-monitors can be adaptive, shaping themselves to please a partner and avoid conflict. Low self-monitors tend to be consistent across contexts, valuing authenticity over impression management. Research suggests both styles have strengths and risks. High self-monitoring can smooth social interactions, but may lead to feeling unseen if adaptation becomes constant performance. Low self-monitoring can feel honest and grounded, but may sometimes seem inflexible. In love, the soothing middle path is responsiveness without self-erasure. The healthiest version of self-monitoring is not be whoever they want, but consider their feelings while staying true. Attraction thrives when someone feels both exciting and real. And over time, deep intimacy asks for less performance and more presence. Two nervous systems allowed to be natural, without masks. Fact 50. Shared humor style. Fact 50 is shared humor style, especially affiliative humor, joking that bonds rather than wounds. Relationship research suggests couples who laugh together in a way that includes rather than excludes often show greater resilience under stress. Humor is not just entertainment, it's emotional regulation. A shared laugh can release tension, repair a rough moment, and remind the couple they're on the same team. The type of humor matters. Sarcasm that humiliates can erode trust, while gentle playfulness can soften defenses. Humor also reveals worldview. What you find funny shows how you interpret life. When partners share a humor style, it can feel like speaking the same emotional dialect. In long relationships, laughter becomes a ritual of relief. And at night, remembering someone's laugh can calm the body, like proof that warmth exists, even after hard days. Chapter 6. Attachment Theory. Fact 51. Secure attachment. Fact 51 is secure attachment. Comfort with intimacy, trust in closeness, and an ability to depend on others without feeling trapped. Attachment research, rooted in early developmental studies like the strange situation, suggests securely attached individuals tend to believe that love is safe and that needs are allowed. In adult relationships, secure attachment often looks like steady communication, healthy boundaries, and an ability to repair after conflict. Secure people can miss you without panicking and love you without controlling you. They tend to offer emotional safety, an environment where feelings can exist without punishment. This doesn't mean they never struggle. It means their default expectation is that connection can be restored. In a sleep-friendly sense, secure attachment is like a quiet room in the mind. You can rest there. You don't have to stay on guard. Love becomes less like a test and more like a home. Fact 52. Anxious preoccupied attachment. Fact 52 is anxious preoccupied attachment, a high need for reassurance and a deep sensitivity to signs of distance. Attachment theory suggests this style often forms when early caregiving was inconsistent, sometimes warm, sometimes unavailable, training the nervous system to stay alert. In adult love, this can feel like hypervigilance, reading tone, timing, punctuation, and pauses as if they are life or death signals. Anxiously attached partners may seek closeness intensely, not because they want drama, but because separation feels threatening. Understanding the mechanism can soften shame. It's not neediness as a flaw, it's an attachment system trying to prevent loss. The soothing move is co-regulation and clarity, consistent affection, honest communication, and self-soothing skills. When reassurance becomes reliable, the attachment alarm often quiets. The body learns slowly that love can stay. Fact 53. Dismissive avoidant attachment. Fact 53 is dismissive avoidant attachment, a strong preference for independence and a tendency to downplay emotional needs. Attachment research suggests this style may form when early caregivers discouraged vulnerability or rewarded self-reliance. The person learns quietly, "I'm safest when I need less." In adult relationships, avoidant partners may withdraw during conflict, feel overwhelmed by intense emotion, or interpret closeness as loss of autonomy. Importantly, avoidance isn't the absence of feeling. It's often a strategy for managing it. The soothing lens is compassion for protective habits. Avoidant patterns can soften when intimacy is offered without pressure and when boundaries are respected. Healthy love doesn't require someone to flood their emotions all at once. It invites gradual trust. When an avoidant person experiences consistent, non-intrusive care, their nervous system may begin to discover that closeness can be spacious, like two trees growing side by side, not tangled vines. Fact 54. Fearful avoidant attachment. Fact 54 is fearful avoidant attachment, sometimes associated with disorganized patterns, a desire for closeness combined with a fear of being hurt. This can create approach-avoid cycles, moving toward love, then pulling away when it starts to feel real. Attachment theory suggests this may emerge from early experiences where caregivers were both a source of comfort and a source of fear, leaving the nervous system with mixed signals. In adult romance, it can feel like internal conflict, longing and suspicion living in the same chest. The calming takeaway is that this pattern is not a personality sentence. It's an internal working model, a learned map, and maps can be redrawn. With safe relationships, therapy, and consistent boundaries, fearful avoidant individuals can learn that intimacy doesn't have to equal danger. The goal isn't to force closeness. It's to create safety so closeness becomes possible without panic. Fact 55. The secure base concept. Fact 55 is the secure base concept. A partner can function as a base from which you feel safe to explore the world. Attachment research suggests that when we trust someone's availability, our exploration system activates. We take healthy risks, pursue goals, and engage life with more confidence. It's a paradox. Dependence can create independence. When you know you have somewhere safe to return, you wander farther. In adult relationships, a secure base might look like encouragement, emotional support, and the steady message, "I'm here even when you're growing." This can make attraction deepen over time because safety is not boring, it's liberating. The nervous system relaxes enough to be playful, ambitious, creative. In a bedtime sense, the secure base is the feeling that you can fall asleep knowing connection remains. You don't have to hold everything alone. Someone is part of your support structure. Fact 56. Internal working models. Fact 56 is internal working models, the mental maps formed in childhood that shape what we expect from love as adults. Attachment theory suggests these models answer questions like, are people reliable? Am I worthy of care? Is closeness safe? They operate quietly like background code. You may not hear the beliefs directly, but you feel them in patterns: who you choose, what you tolerate, what scares you, what you chase. The soothing insight is that many romantic instincts are actually learned predictions, and predictions can be updated with new experiences. When a partner responds differently than your model expects, staying calm where you anticipate anger, staying present where you anticipate abandonment, the brain begins to rewrite its map. This takes time, repetition, gentleness, but it's possible. Love isn't only chemistry, it's also learning. A relationship can become a classroom for the nervous system, teaching it a safer story. Fact 57. Earned security. Fact 57 is earned security, developing a more secure attachment style later in life through healthy relationships and corrective experiences. Research suggests attachment is not fixed, it's plastic. With consistent care, partners who communicate clearly, respect boundaries, and repair after conflict, the brain can learn new expectations. Earned security may also come through therapy or strong friendships that provide stable emotional attunement. The mechanism is gradual. The nervous system collects evidence like tiny stones placed in a jar until the jar becomes heavy with proof. People can be safe. I can be loved without performing. Needs can be met. This process is one of the most hopeful ideas in psychology. It means your past influences you, but it doesn't own you. At night, this fact can be especially soothing. Even if early love felt unpredictable, the future can contain steadier bonds. Security can be built patiently with time. Fact 58. Attachment activation. Fact 58 is attachment activation. Stressful events can switch on the attachment system, changing how we seek closeness. When the brain detects threat, illness, work pressure, conflict, uncertainty, it often pushes us toward our attachment strategies. Anxious partners may intensify proximity seeking, needing reassurance. Avoidant partners may intensify distancing, needing space. Neither response is wrong, both are protective. Attachment research suggests that under stress we become more like our deepest pattern because the nervous system chooses what it knows. The soothing skill is recognizing activation in real time. I'm not only upset about this event, my attachment system is lit up. When partners can name this gently, they can stop personalizing it. Instead of "you don't care," it becomes "I'm activated and I need comfort." Instead of "you're too much," it becomes "I'm overwhelmed and I need space." Numbing activation can turn chaos into understanding. Fact 59. Co-regulation. Fact 59 is co-regulation. In close bonds, partners' nervous systems can synchronize to calm each other. Research on physiological linkage suggests heart rate, stress hormones, and emotional arousal can become coupled in relationships, sometimes escalating, sometimes soothing. In healthy dynamics, one calm person can help settle the other through voice tone, touch, eye contact, and steady presence. This is why a partner's calm can feel like medicine without being medical. It's simple biology. Mammals regulate together. Co-regulation is also why conflict can feel intense. Dysregulation spreads too. The soothing side is that you can intentionally create calm patterns, slow breathing together, gentle rituals, quiet check-ins. Over time, the relationship becomes a regulatory environment. Love isn't only about romance, it's about nervous system partnership. When you're with the right person, your body learns that calm is contagious. Fact 60. The demand-withdrawal pattern. Fact 60 is the demand-withdrawal pattern. One partner seeks closeness or discussion, while the other retreats, creating a painful cycle. Often, the demanding partner is anxiously activated, pursuing reassurance, while the withdrawing partner is avoidantly activated, seeking relief from emotional intensity. Relationship research suggests this pattern can polarize couples over time. The more one demands, the more the other withdraws, and the more the withdrawal increases demand. The calming takeaway is that the cycle is the enemy, not the people. When couples learn to identify the pattern, "we're doing the dance again," they can interrupt it with new moves, softer requests, timed breaks, agreed reconnection. The real need underneath is often the same: safety. One partner seeks safety through closeness, the other through space. With compassion, both can be honored and the cycle can loosen its grip. Chapter 7. The mechanics of intimacy. Fact 61. The disclosure reciprocity rule. Fact 61 is the disclosure reciprocity rule. Intimacy grows through a balanced dance of self-disclosure, where partners share personal information at a similar pace. Social penetration theory suggests closeness develops like layers, moving from surface facts to deeper feelings, values, and vulnerabilities. When one person shares too much too soon, the other may feel flooded. When one shares too little, the other may feel shut out. Reciprocity keeps the nervous system comfortable. It says we are walking together, not dragging or abandoning. Healthy disclosure involves timing and consent, reading the room, offering truth gently, allowing silence. The soothing insight is that intimacy isn't forced, it's built. You don't have to pour your entire story out to be loved. You can reveal yourself like a candle lighting slowly, one soft flame at a time. The best relationships honor pace. Fact 62. Emotional attunement. Fact 62 is emotional attunement, the ability to sense and respond to a partner's feelings in real time. Research on empathic accuracy suggests some people are better at reading subtle cues, tone changes, micro-shifts in posture, the quiet hesitation before a sentence. Attunement isn't mind reading, it's attention with care. In romance, attunement looks like noticing before being told. "You seem tired, do you want quiet?" Or "something feels off." Do you want to talk? This can be deeply regulating because it tells the nervous system, I don't have to scream to be heard. Attunement also requires humility. Sometimes you guess wrong and you correct gently. Over time, attunement becomes a relationship skill, not a magical trait. Couples can learn it through curiosity, reflection, and slowing down. In a world that rushes, attunement is a form of devotion. Fact 63. The 5:1 ratio. Fact 63 is the 5:1 ratio, popularized by relationship research associated with the Gottman approach. Stable relationships often show about 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction. The ratio isn't a rigid law, but it captures an important idea. Negative moments carry more weight, so positivity must be intentionally present. Positive interactions can be small smiles, appreciation, gentle humor, affectionate touch, helpfulness, warm tone. They act like deposits into an emotional bank account. Then, when conflict happens, the relationship can afford it without collapsing. The soothing takeaway is that love is maintained in micro moments, not only in anniversaries but in ordinary Tuesday evenings. If a couple wants peace, it's often less about eliminating all negativity and more about increasing warmth. A steady stream of small positives becomes emotional insulation, keeping the bond warm when life gets cold. Fact 64. Bids for connection. Fact 64 is bids for connection. Tiny attempts to get a partner's attention, affection, or engagement. Look at that. Can I tell you something? Did you see what I sent? These are small doorways. Relationship research suggests what matters is how the partner responds, turning toward, turning away, or turning against. Turning toward doesn't require grand effort. It can be as simple as eye contact, a or a gentle question. Over time, repeated turning toward builds a deep sense of being valued. Ignored bids can slowly teach the nervous system that connection is unreliable. This is why intimacy isn't only about big talks. It's about responsiveness. The soothing practice is noticing bids with kindness. When your partner reaches out in small ways, it's often their attachment system whispering, "Are you there?" Answering softly can strengthen the whole bond. Fact 65. Intellectual intimacy. Fact 65 is intellectual intimacy, bonding through shared ideas, curiosity, and mental exploration. For some couples, this is a primary love language, discussing books, ethics, science, art, spirituality, or simply the questions that make life feel wide. Psychology suggests shared meaning is a powerful glue because it builds a sense of we beyond daily logistics. Intellectual intimacy can be soothing because it offers connection without urgency. Two minds can sit together like two lamps in the same room, quietly lighting up the space. This form of intimacy also supports respect. When you admire how someone thinks, you often treat them more gently. Intellectual intimacy doesn't require formal education. It requires openness, listening, and the willingness to wonder together. In long-term love, physical passion may rise and fall, but shared meaning can remain steady, like a calm conversation that continues across years. Fact 66. The Michelangelo phenomenon. Fact 66 is the Michelangelo phenomenon. Partners can sculpt each other toward their ideal selves through support and affirmation. In this research, the healthiest relationships aren't those where someone is molded into what the other wants, but where each person is encouraged to become who they already long to be. The partner becomes a gentle mirror, reflecting potential. I see you as capable. I believe in your growth. I love the best in you. This doesn't mean denying flaws. It means not defining the person by them. Over time, this kind of affirmation can change behavior because expectations shape identity. The soothing heart of this fact is that love can be developmental. It can be a safe workshop where you practice becoming. The right partner doesn't shrink your world. They quietly help you step into it, without forcing, without rushing. Fact 67. Shared vulnerability. Fact 67 is shared vulnerability. Admitting fears, needs, and weaknesses can increase trust and bond strength. This may seem paradoxical, because many people fear that vulnerability makes them less attractive. But relationship research suggests the opposite in healthy contexts. Appropriate vulnerability signals authenticity and invites reciprocal openness. It tells the partner, "I trust you with something real." Vulnerability also reduces the pressure of performance. You no longer have to be impressive, you can be human. Of course, vulnerability should be offered where there is safety. It's not about revealing everything to someone unreliable. It's about brave honesty within a respectful bond. Shared vulnerability can become the foundation of intimacy because it creates emotional accuracy. Your partner is relating to the real you, not the polished version. And when you're loved in your realness, the nervous system relaxes in a deep way, like unclenching after years. Fact 68. The power of rituals. Fact 68 is the power of rituals. Shared habits that create a relationship culture. Morning coffee together, a nightly check-in, a specific way of saying goodbye, a Sunday walk. These patterns become emotional landmarks. Symbolic interactionism suggests rituals carry meaning beyond their behavior. They signal belonging. Rituals also reduce uncertainty, which calms the nervous system. When life outside is unpredictable, a relationship ritual can feel like a steady lighthouse. Couples often underestimate how much intimacy is built through repetition. It's not glamorous, but it's strong. Rituals also create shared memory. This is what we do. This is who we are. In a sleep context, rituals matter even more. A consistent goodnight routine, soft words, gentle touch, a small moment of gratitude can train the body to associate the relationship with rest. Love becomes not only exciting, but regulating. Fact 69. Active constructive responding. Fact 69 is active constructive responding, reacting with genuine enthusiasm when your partner shares good news. Research in positive psychology suggests this style. Asking questions, celebrating, showing interest is a strong predictor of relationship satisfaction. It's different from passive support. It says, "Your joy matters to me." Many people focus on being there during hard times, and that matters deeply. But being there during good times is equally bonding. It builds a climate where happiness is safe to express. When a partner responds actively and constructively, they enlarge the good moment like adding oxygen to a small flame. Over time, this creates positive association. You become the person they want to tell things to. And that is intimacy, being each other's first audience. In a gentle way, this fact invites us to treat joy as sacred. In love, celebration is a form of care. Fact 70. Inclusion of other in self. Fact 70 is inclusion of other in self. The cognitive blending where the boundary between me and we becomes softer. Researchers describe closeness as an expansion of identity. Your partner's needs, feelings, and outcomes begin to feel personally relevant. You don't lose yourself, you widen yourself. This can be seen in language, planning, and emotional response. Their success feels like yours. Their pain touches you more directly. In healthy relationships, this blending supports cooperation and sacrifice in balanced ways. In unhealthy ones, it can tip into enmeshment, so balance matters. The soothing version of this fact is interdependence, two whole people choosing to coordinate, to share, to carry life together. At night, inclusion of other in self can feel like a quiet warmth, the sense that your inner world is not solitary. Somewhere in you, the bond lives as a steady presence, like a second heartbeat in the same room. Chapter 8. Communication and Body Language. Fact 71. Microexpressions. Fact 71 is microexpressions. Brief, involuntary facial movements that can reveal emotion before a person has time to edit it. Research associated with Paul Ekman's work suggests that certain expressions, like fleeting surprise, sadness, contempt, or joy, can flash across the face in fractions of a second. In relationships, microexpressions can matter because they influence intuition. You may not consciously register the expression, but your nervous system picks up a change and adjusts, feeling closer or more cautious. This is sometimes called nonverbal leakage, emotion escaping through the body. The soothing lesson is not to become a detective, but to become curious. If something feels off, it may be because your brain noticed a mismatch between words and face. Healthy communication often involves gently checking in. "I noticed you got quiet. Are you okay?" In safe relationships, micro-expressions become invitations to care, not reasons to accuse. Fact 72, paralanguage. Fact 72 is paralanguage, the emotional information carried by tone, pitch, speed, volume, and rhythm, often more powerful than the words themselves. Two people can say "I'm fine" and mean completely different things depending on vocal cues. Communication research suggests that prosody, the musical quality of speech, is a primary channel for conveying warmth, threat, sincerity, or distance. This is why a calm voice can soothe faster than a perfect argument can persuade. It's also why conflict escalates when voices sharpen. The nervous system responds to sound quickly. It's designed to detect danger in vocal tone. In romance, paralanguage becomes the emotional climate. Gentle voices create safety, harsh tones create alarm. A soothing takeaway is that you can change a conversation without changing the topic, simply by softening the sound. Sometimes love is not what you say. It's how safe your voice feels to the other person's body. Fact 73, the softened startup. Fact 73 is the softened startup, a concept popular in relationship research. Bringing up problems gently rather than with criticism leads to more successful resolutions. A harsh startup, "You never listen, you always do this," activates defensiveness because the partner's nervous system hears threat. A softened startup focuses on feelings and needs. "I felt hurt earlier and I'd like to talk," or "Can we figure this out together?" This approach reduces escalation and keeps the conversation inside the window of tolerance. The soothing power here is that you can protect love while still addressing issues. Softness is not weakness, it's strategy. It signals, "I'm not here to attack you, I'm here to understand." Over time, couples who use softened startups tend to fight less destructively because conflict becomes a shared problem rather than a battle. Gentle beginnings often create gentle endings. Fact 74, open versus closed posture. Fact 74 is posture, especially open versus closed body language. In nonverbal communication research, open posture, uncrossed arms, relaxed shoulders facing towards someone, tends to signal receptivity and safety. Closed posture, crossed arms, angled away, protective gestures, can signal discomfort, defensiveness, or simply cold temperature and habit. In romantic context, posture becomes a quiet message. "I'm available" or "I'm guarded." The important nuance is context. A closed posture doesn't always mean rejection. It can mean fatigue, anxiety, or a need for space. Still, bodies often tell the truth of comfort levels before words do. The soothing lesson is to notice without judgment. If your partner's posture closes, you can respond with gentleness rather than pressure. Openness invites openness. Calm, non-intrusive presence can help the body relax back into connection, like a door slowly reopening when it feels safe. Fact 75, pupil mimicry. Fact 75 is pupil mimicry. We sometimes feel more trust toward people whose pupils dilate or contract in sync with our own. Research suggests this synchrony can contribute to feelings of connection because humans are wired for subtle coordination, microsynchronies that signal we are aligned. Much of bonding is rhythmic. Breathing rates, speech tempo, movement patterns. Pupils are part of that quiet orchestra. When two people's autonomic responses match, the brain may interpret it as empathy or shared state, even if neither person notices. This is not a conscious choice. It's a biological echo. The soothing meaning is that intimacy is often built from tiny, invisible harmonies rather than dramatic declarations. When you feel in sync with someone, it may be because your bodies are literally syncing at multiple levels. The relationship becomes a duet. And your nervous system recognizes, we can move together without forcing it. Fact 76, the head tilt. Fact 76 is the head tilt, a small gesture that often signals listening, curiosity, and vulnerability. In body language research, tilting the head exposes the neck, a sensitive area which can subconsciously communicate trust. It can also suggest attentiveness, like the body is making room for the other person's words. In romantic conversation, the head tilt can feel like warmth without touch. "I'm here, I'm interested, you have my focus." Of course, gestures vary across individuals and cultures, but many people intuitively interpret the head tilt as softness. The soothing invitation is to notice how often love is conveyed through tiny movements. Intimacy is not always in the sentences, it's in the posture of attention. When someone tilts their head toward you, it can feel like a gentle leaning in of the soul, subtle, quiet, and deeply calming. Fact 77. Eye accessing cues. Fact 77 involves eye accessing cues. The idea that the direction someone looks may sometimes reflect whether they're recalling memories or imagining possibilities. This concept is often discussed in NLP traditions, though scientific support is mixed, and it should be held lightly, more as an observation than a rule. Still, cognitive science agrees on a broader point. Eye movement can reflect mental effort and attention shifts. People often look away to think, to search memory, or to regulate emotion. In relationships, misinterpreting this can cause unnecessary tension, assuming someone who looks away is lying or disengaged when they may simply be processing. The soothing takeaway is to give the thinking mind space. A partner's gaze drifting upward or sideways might mean they're finding words, not avoiding truth. The kindest communication often allows pauses. Let silence exist, and trust that reflection is part of care. Fact 78. We talk versus me talk. Fact 78 is we talk versus me talk. Linguistic research suggests that couples who use more plural pronouns, we, us, our, often report higher relationship satisfaction and sometimes lower divorce rates. The pronouns reflect cognitive interdependence, thinking as a unit. We'll figure it out lands differently than I'll handle it or you should. Language doesn't only describe reality, it helps create it. We talk can foster teamwork, especially during stress, because it signals shared identity and shared responsibility. But balance matters. Healthy we talk doesn't erase individuality. It doesn't mean merging into one person. It means remembering the relationship is a collaborative system. The soothing lesson is that small word choices shape emotional tone. We can feel like a blanket, soft, inclusive, steady. When partners speak as allies, the nervous system relaxes. It stops bracing for battle. Fact 79. Physical proximity proxemics. Fact 79 is proxemics, the psychology of personal space. Allowing someone into your intimate zone, roughly within 0 to 18 inches, often signals high trust and attraction. Personal space boundaries protect the nervous system. When someone is too close too soon, it can feel invasive. When someone stays far away, it can feel cold. In romance, distance becomes language. Leaning closer can be an invitation. Stepping back can be a boundary. The soothing idea is consent at the level of inches. Healthy attraction respects the body's comfort. When closeness is welcomed, proximity can be deeply calming, like sharing warmth on a cold night. When it's rushed, it can activate alarm. A loving partner learns your distance preferences the way they learn your favorite foods, with attention without argument. And when two people find a comfortable distance, the relationship begins to feel physically safe, not just emotionally meaningful. Fact 80. The still face effect in adults. Fact 80 is the still face effect in adults. In infant research, an unresponsive caregiver face can trigger distress because the baby's nervous system depends on feedback. In adult relationships, a similar mechanism can appear. When someone's face goes flat, no eye contact, no expression, no responsiveness, the partner may feel a spike of anxiety or shame. It can feel like disconnection, like being dropped. This doesn't mean anyone must perform constant emotion. It means responsiveness matters for regulation. Even a small nod, a soft "I'm listening," can prevent the nervous system from spiraling. The soothing takeaway is gentle presence. If you need space, communicate it warmly. If you feel shut out, ask for a signal. Relationships thrive when partners remain emotionally reachable. A responsive face is a quiet form of love, one that says, "I'm here with you, I haven't disappeared." Chapter 9. Long-term maintenance. Fact 81. Sternberg's triangular theory. Fact 81 is Sternberg's triangular theory. Love is composed of intimacy, passion, and commitment. Different combinations create different experiences. Infatuation may be passion without commitment. Companionship may be intimacy with commitment. Consummate love includes all three. The soothing power of this theory is that it normalizes change. Passion naturally rises and falls. Intimacy can deepen slowly. Commitment can be chosen deliberately. Couples sometimes panic when passion quiets, believing love is dying when it may simply be shifting shape. The triangle reminds us that love is multidimensional. If one corner weakens, the relationship can be strengthened through the others. More shared meaning, more affection, more intentional promises. Long-term love often becomes a craft, not an accident. And craft can be comforting. You're not waiting for fate, you're building a structure. At night, this theory can feel like reassurance. Love can evolve and still remain real. Fact 82. The investment model. Fact 82 is the investment model of commitment. Commitment tends to be influenced by satisfaction, quality of alternatives, and size of investment. In other words, people stay when the relationship meets core needs, when appealing alternatives are low, and when they've invested time, shared friends, shared memories, and shared resources. This model, associated with Rusbult's research, isn't romantic poetry, but it's honest psychology. The soothing takeaway is that commitment is not only a feeling, it's a decision supported by structure. Couples can strengthen commitment by increasing satisfaction through kindness, by honoring the relationship publicly and privately, and by building meaningful shared investments, rituals, goals, community. At the same time, the model helps clarify why some people stay even when unhappy. Investments can create inertia. Understanding the mechanism reduces confusion and shame. Love is emotional, yes, but it's also shaped by choices and contexts that can be gently adjusted. Fact 83. Compassionate love. Fact 83 is the shift from passionate love to companionate love, sometimes called compassionate or affectionate love. Many relationship researchers describe this as a natural evolution. Early love is high arousal, thrilling, and uncertain. Long-term love often becomes calmer, friend-like, and deeply supportive. This isn't a downgrade. It's a developmental stage. Companionate love includes friendship, shared history, mutual caregiving, and the sense that life is easier with this person on your side. Some couples grieve the loss of constant fireworks, but a steady flame warms a home more reliably than sparks. The soothing message is that calm can be romantic. Being known, being cared for, being safe, these are profound pleasures. Passion can still exist, but it rests on a deeper base. In a mature bond, love often sounds like, "I choose you again today." Quiet, consistent, real. Fact 84. Positive illusions, sustainability. 84 is positive illusions in long-term love. Seeing your partner as slightly better than they objectively are can help buffer daily annoyances. Research suggests mild idealization can increase satisfaction because it focuses attention on strengths and keeps small irritations from becoming identity-level criticisms. The word illusion can sound negative, but here it often means selective emphasis, not delusion. It's choosing a generous lens. Their messy becomes their creative and relaxed. Their quiet becomes their thoughtful. This doesn't mean ignoring serious issues. It means not making the relationship a constant audit. The soothing takeaway is that perception shapes experience. When you look for what you love, you find more of it. In long-term partnership, that gentle bias can act like emotional lubrication, reducing friction so closeness can keep moving smoothly through ordinary life. Fact 85. The habituation effect. Fact 85 is habituation, also called hedonic adaptation. The brain gets used to repeated stimuli, even pleasurable ones. This is why the same date night, the same compliments, the same routine can start to feel less exciting over time, not because love is gone, but because the nervous system has learned the pattern. Habituation is efficient. It frees attention for novelty and potential threats. In romance, it means couples often need to intentionally introduce new experiences to reawaken attention. This can be simple: a new walk route, a new recipe, a different way of spending an evening. The soothing message is to not fear the quieting of novelty. It's normal biology. Instead of chasing constant intensity, you can weave novelty into stability, like adding fresh air to a warm room. Long love isn't maintained by endless fireworks. It's maintained by gentle renewal again and again. Fact 86. Forgiveness mechanisms. Fact 86 is forgiveness, the ability to let go of minor transgressions and return to goodwill. Relationship research suggests long-term couples are not those who never hurt each other. They are those who repair well. Forgiveness involves cognitive flexibility, seeing the whole person, not just the moment, and emotional regulation, reducing rumination. It also involves boundaries. Forgiveness is healthiest when harm is acknowledged and patterns change. But in everyday life, forgiveness often looks small, not bringing up old mistakes, not keeping score, not using shame as a weapon. The soothing takeaway is that grudges keep the nervous system activated. Forgiveness lets the body unclench. It creates room for affection to return. In lasting love, forgiveness is not amnesia. It's a deliberate shift back toward connection. It's the quiet skill of saying, "I care more about us than about being right forever." Fact 87. Shared leisure activities. Fact 87 is shared leisure, especially exciting activities rather than only pleasant ones. Research suggests couples who do novel, engaging activities together, things that create mild arousal and teamwork, often feel more vitality and closeness. Exciting doesn't have to mean extreme. It can mean learning a dance, hiking a new trail, cooking a challenging dish, playing a game that requires collaboration. These activities create fresh shared memories and reintroduce novelty, which the reward system enjoys. Pleasant activities, watching shows, relaxing at home, are also valuable, especially for rest and bonding. The key is balance, comfort plus spark. The soothing lesson is that relationships are living systems. They respond to stimulation and to calm. A long-term bond stays healthy when partners share both restful rituals and occasional adventures, like breathing in and breathing out. Vitality is often created intentionally in small doses. Fact 88. Social network overlap. Fact 88 is social network overlap. Couples with overlapping friends and family support tend to stay together longer. Social support theory suggests relationships are strengthened when they are embedded in a community that provides encouragement, accountability, and shared identity. When friends know both partners, there are more shared experiences and fewer separate lives drifting apart. Family approval can also reduce stress, though it isn't always available. The soothing takeaway is that love thrives in supportive ecosystems. A relationship doesn't have to be isolated to be intimate. In fact, secure couples often feel safer because they have a network, a village, around them. This doesn't mean oversharing or letting others interfere. It means having belonging beyond the dyad. When life gets hard, external support reduces pressure on the couple to be everything for each other. And when life is good, shared community multiplies joy. Love at its healthiest is both private and supported. Fact 89. Cognitive interdependence. Fact 89 is cognitive interdependence, thinking of the self as part of a we, with shared goals, shared plans, and shared memory systems. Some research connects this to transactive memory, couples dividing mental labor, where one partner remembers certain information and the other remembers different parts, creating a joint mind. Over time, this can feel deeply comforting. You're not carrying life alone. You have someone who knows the passwords, the appointments, the family stories, the way you like your tea. Cognitive interdependence also shapes identity. You begin to make decisions with the unit in mind. The soothing perspective is that interdependence is not weakness. It's a human adaptation. We are social mammals, and shared cognition reduces stress. The caution is balance. Interdependence should support individuality, not erase it. When done well, it creates a quiet partnership where two brains cooperate, like two hands lifting the same gentle weight. Fact 90. The sunk cost fallacy in love. Fact 90 is the sunk cost fallacy, the tendency to stay in a relationship simply because of time, effort, or history already invested, even when the present is unhealthy. Decision science shows that humans struggle to let go of investments because leaving can feel like admitting loss. The mind says, "I've already given so much. If I leave, it was for nothing." But psychologically, past investment doesn't guarantee future value. This fact is not a command to leave anything, it's an invitation to clarity. The soothing takeaway is to evaluate love in the present tense. How do we treat each other now? Do I feel safe now? Are we growing now? A healthy relationship has living reasons to continue, not only historical ones. When you understand the sunk cost effect, you can separate loyalty from inertia. And that separation can bring peace, whether it leads to recommitment, repair, or simply a quieter inner truth. Chapter 10. The Wellness of Connection. Fact 91. The Health Protective Effect. Fact 91 is the health protective effect. Supportive relationships are associated with better physical healing and stronger immune functioning, a topic often explored in psychoneuroimmunology. Studies suggest that when people feel socially supported, stress responses can be buffered, meaning the body spends less time in high alert mode. Lower chronic stress is linked to improved immune regulation and recovery processes. This is not a promise or a cure, and it's not medical advice. It's a population-level association. But it highlights something gentle. The body listens to belonging. When love is safe, the nervous system rests more, and rest supports many biological systems. Emotional warmth can reduce feelings of threat, and reduced threat can translate into better regulation. At night, this fact can feel like a soft reminder. Connection is not only emotional, it is physiological companionship. Your relationship shape your body's sense of safety. Fact 92. Love-induced analgesia. Fact 92 is love-induced analgesia. Looking at a photo of a loved one can reduce the perception of physical pain in some studies. Researchers suggest this may involve reward circuits and endogenous opioid activity, natural pain-modulating systems. The brain, when it perceives social safety and attachment, can alter threat processing, which influences pain experience. Again, this isn't a treatment claim. It's an insight into how deeply social connection and bodily sensation are intertwined. Pain is not only a signal from tissues, it's also shaped by attention, meaning, and safety cues. A loved one can become a cue of safety so strong that the brain turns down pain volume slightly. The soothing lesson is that affection is regulatory. Even imagining someone who cares about you can change your internal state. At bedtime, this can be used gently. Bring to mind a face that feels kind, and let your body soften a little, as if comfort itself is a signal. Fact 93. Sleep quality and security. Fact 93 connects love directly to sleep. People with secure attachments often report better sleep quality, particularly when co-sleeping, because the body perceives the environment as safer. Research suggests that a trusted partner's presence can increase parasympathetic activation, the rest and digest state, making it easier to settle. This isn't universal. Some people sleep better alone due to movement, temperature, or personal needs. But the broader mechanism is important. Safety helps sleep. When you feel emotionally secure, the brain lowers nighttime vigilance. Your body doesn't need to keep one ear open for danger. The soothing takeaway is that emotional security is a sleep resource. Whether you sleep beside someone or not, cultivating secure connection through consistent relationships, stable routines, and calming rituals can support rest. Sleep and love share a common foundation: the ability to let go, to release control, to trust that you will be okay until morning. Fact 94. Cardiovascular health. Fact 94 is the link between low-conflict, supportive relationships and cardiovascular health. Psychophysiology research suggests chronic relationship stress can elevate blood pressure and strain the heart over time, while warm, cooperative bonds can reduce stress reactivity. Again, these are associations, not guarantees, but the principle is steady. The heart responds to emotional climate. Arguments that feel threatening can activate stress hormones and sympathetic arousal. Repair, safety, and affection can help bring the system down. A relationship that functions as a refuge rather than a battlefield may support healthier baseline regulation. The soothing takeaway is that kindness is not only moral, it's physiological. When you choose gentleness, you're not just choosing peace in the moment, you're choosing a calmer internal rhythm. Love that feels safe doesn't require your heart to race with dread. It allows your heart to beat steadily, quietly, through ordinary days. Fact 95. Longevity and connection. Fact 95 is one of the most consistent findings in well-being research. Close social bonds predict longer life, sometimes rivaling classic health factors like diet and exercise in strength of association. Studies on social integration, including observations from Blue Zones communities, suggest that belonging, friends, family, partnership, community, supports longevity through multiple pathways: reduced stress, healthier habits, practical support, and meaning. Loneliness, on the other hand, can act like chronic stress, keeping the body in a subtle state of threat. This fact is not meant to pressure anyone into relationships. It's meant to honor how human we are. We are built for connection. Even one or two safe bonds can be protective. The soothing message is that love is not a luxury. It's part of our psychological infrastructure. When you nurture connection, romantic or otherwise, you may be nurturing time itself. Fact 96. Anxiety reduction. Fact 96 is anxiety reduction through social baseline theory. The presence of a supportive partner can reduce activity in the brain's threat systems, including areas like the amygdala. The idea is simple and profound. The brain assumes life is easier with allies. When someone trustworthy is near, the mind budgets fewer resources for vigilance. Threat feels more manageable. Experiments have shown that holding a partner's hand or even anticipating support can reduce stress responses in certain situations. This isn't about dependence as weakness, it's about human design. We regulate better together. The soothing takeaway is that being loved can change the perception of the world. Difficult tasks feel less sharp, fear feels more containable. At night, you might remember a time you felt protected, someone beside you, a reassuring message, a steady presence, and let your body borrow that safety. Your nervous system understands support as a signal. We can stand down now. Fact 97. Purpose and meaning. Fact 97 is eudaimonic well-being. Love can contribute to purpose and meaning, not just pleasure. Positive psychology distinguishes between hedonic happiness, feeling good, and eudaimonic fulfillment, living in alignment with values, growth, and contribution. Romantic love can support meaning when it encourages you to become more authentic, to build a life to care, to commit to something beyond momentary mood. A good relationship often gives shape to time, plans, traditions, shared dreams. It can also offer a sense of being witnessed in your becoming. The soothing insight is that deep love is not always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet yes to a shared life. Meaningful connection can help people endure stress because hardship feels more bearable when it's carried with someone or carried for someone. At night, purpose can be calming. It tells the mind, there is a reason to rest, tomorrow belongs to something. Fact 98. Altruism and global empathy. Fact 98 is that being in love can expand compassion outward. Some research suggests that secure, supportive romantic bonds may increase prosocial behavior. People become kinder not only to their partner but also to others. When the attachment system is satisfied, the mind has more capacity to notice the world. Safety frees attention. Love can also model empathy. When you practice care daily with one person, you strengthen the muscle of consideration. This isn't automatic for everyone, and it depends on the health of the relationship. But the general idea is gentle. Connection can enlarge the heart. When you feel loved, you may feel less defensive, less scarcity, less need to protect yourself from everyone. The soothing message is that love, at its best, is not possessive. It's nourishing. It fills the inner reservoir, and from a full reservoir, kindness spills more easily into the world. Fact 99. Self-esteem regulation. Fact 99 is self-esteem regulation. A healthy bond can act as a stabilizing mirror, reflecting a positive and consistent self-image. Sociometer theory suggests self-esteem partly tracks our sense of social acceptance. When a partner treats you with respect, warmth, and reliability, it can support a steadier sense of worth. You don't have to constantly prove yourself. You feel more enough. This is not about needing someone else to validate you at all times. It's about the psychological truth that humans are relational. We learn who we are through how we are treated. A supportive relationship can counter old narratives of unworthiness by providing new evidence. Over time, that evidence becomes internalized. The soothing takeaway is that love can teach the self to relax. When you are consistently valued, your inner critic often quiets. And when the inner critic quiets, sleep becomes easier. The mind no longer needs to rehearse its defenses. Fact 100. Subjective well-being. Fact 100 closes the arc with a simple, consistent finding. Across many studies of happiness and life satisfaction, the quality of relationships is one of the strongest predictors of subjective well-being. Not wealth alone, not achievement alone, but the felt experience of being connected, supported, and understood. This doesn't mean everyone must have a romantic partner. It means humans thrive with meaningful bonds, friends, family, community, and love in its many forms. Hedonic psychology and long-term well-being research both return to this point. Relationships shape daily emotion, stress regulation, identity, and purpose. The soothing lesson is that love is not merely a storyline we chase. It's a nervous system need, a social nutrient. As you rest tonight, you can let this land gently. You were built to connect. And even if connection has been complicated, the capacity remains. Your mind can learn safer bonds. Your heart can heal into warmth. And your body can exhale, knowing that love, healthy, quiet, steady love, is one of the most human things there is. And now, as our journey through love and attraction comes to a gentle pause, you don't need to hold every fact in your mind. You don't need to remember the theories, the names, the studies, or the details. Because learning, when it's calm and unhurried, doesn't always happen through effort. Sometimes it happens the way sleep happens, quietly, gradually, beneath the surface, while you rest. If any part of tonight's story stirred a memory, a longing, or a soft tenderness, you can let it be there without chasing it. Feelings don't have to be solved in the dark. They can simply be allowed like clouds passing slowly across a wide night sky. And if you notice something important about your patterns, your needs, your hopes, let that insight sit gently on a shelf in your mind. You can return to it in daylight when you're stronger and steadier. For now, your only task is rest. So take a slow breath in and a longer breath out. Let your shoulders drop. Let your tongue rest in your mouth. Let the muscles around your eyes soften, as if the day is finally over. And as you settle, you might remind yourself of something simple and kind. Connection is learnable. Safety is buildable. And love at its healthiest does not demand that you struggle. It invites you to be real. It invites you to be human. It invites you to come home to yourself while still being close to another. In a moment, you can allow the mind to drift. No more analyzing, no more scanning, just the gentle hum of rest. Thank you for spending this time with me here on Rare Mindset. If you'd like more calm psychology journeys like this one, you can return any night you need a softer place to land. For now, let the night take over. Breathe and release. And if sleep is ready for you, you can let it arrive. Slowly, quietly, naturally. Good night.